Hey guys, it's Techno Freak here, and welcome to episode 27 of my custom story creation tutorial for Amnesia Rebirth. And today we're going to be talking about notes. Another one of these episodes that I've been wanting to get to for a while, but I just kind of felt we had a lot of other ground to cover before we get to this point. But we finally got to talking about keys and pretty much custom items, kind of in general. We're gonna talk more in detail in future episodes about those. But we finally got around to talking about that, which means now you guys are familiar with that inventory config file. And there's a lot of things in Amnesia Rebirth that require these kinds of config files to be inside of the folder. So notes is another case like that. In the future, when we talk about voices as well is going to be another one of those things. So there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to cover that are going to pretty much have the same format of pretty much getting the info. So this is going to be another one. It's not too complicated. For very simple uses, it's not very complicated. I think I'm going to do a two-parter on notes though. The first part is just going to be how to get it in the game, how to get it working so you can read it. Then I think part 2 is going to be to get a custom image of your note in the game. That way you don't get some plain old generic looking note. And you guys will see what I mean later on when we talk more about that. But for now, let's go ahead and just start talking about how we can get our notes in the game. So what we're going to do first is before we get to typing up any notes or anything like that, let's go ahead and get our note placed in the level. So I'm going to go ahead and go into our entities over here, and I'm just going to search note here, and we're going to get all the notes. As a note, if you pick one of these that have text on it, and this is what we'll cover in the next episode, but if you pick one of these that have text on it, when you open it up to read it, that text that you see there is going to show. And then if you put your own message in there, it's kind of it's not gonna correspond with what's on the page. So we'll talk about that probably in the next episode, how to change that and get your own image on there with your own text. As for what we're gonna be using these note cave ones. These have no text on them. They're just pretty much blank, but that lets us put that makes more sense in the compass of our story, because we're not going to have a pre-written message by, for example, the captain or Daniel or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and select it here, and let's just go ahead and place it on the table here. I'll go ahead and select it, and we'll move it a little bit just to kind of get it lined up properly here, a little higher here, and we'll rotate it so it looks a little more naturally placed like that. So I know we have this trail of blood, and we're alluding to some guy being in there. So let's assume this note is from the guy who got dragged into that room here. And now that we have it placed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select this. So I have it selected here, and if you notice, you have your usual general tab, but you also have a specific tab down here called Readable, and we're going to be messing around with this in a moment. But first, let's give it a name here instead of just leaving Note Cave 011. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write out a name. I think I'm going to call it I'll start with Note, and I'll call it Note. Let's say room 1, so we know it's the first room. I don't really have a name for this room at the moment, so just note room 1. And now we're going to be creating a readable config file in a moment. So we're going to need to reference this ID that we put in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in, I'm going to put in the same name that's right here, but I'm going to put it in caps. So I'm going to do note _room _1. So I'll just cap the first letters, make it look a little bit more formal, and then we'll go ahead and save. And that's pretty much all we have to do in our level editor. We can specify other stuff here, you can open a specific entity file. So if we wanted to open up our own image for the file, we can put that in here. Of course, we're probably going to be talking about that next episode, so don't worry too much about that. That'll be in part 2. And then a close callback, you can call something to happen when the letter is closed. So if you're interested in putting in a callback, you you could do that here. It's going to be done the same way we've done it in like episode 5, where we talked about basic callbacks. So if you're unfamiliar, I would reference episode 5. Yeah, so now let's talk about how we can get our message written on this note. So let's now go ahead and go to our core Amnesia folder here. Here we are in the root Amnesia folder, and what we're going to do is we're going similar to the way we copied the inventory.cfg file. We're going to go into config here, and then we're going to find readables here. So if I open it, I'll kind of show you just what it's in here, but we're going to look at it in a moment. It's pretty much all the notes in the game. You can see no IDs, and this no ID refers to this one right here that you have in your level. So these are all the developers' no IDs they have in the game. We're going to actually clear all of these, and we're going to put our own one, although you can keep it if you want to leave the default messages for all the letters in the game. But we're not gonna use any of their letters in our custom story, so we're gonna wipe this all out in a moment, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's go ahead and copy it. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit Control C here, and we're gonna copy it, and we're gonna put it in our mods folder. So let's go to our custom story folder, the wake, and we're gonna put it in our config folder here. So we're gonna put it right there. And now it should be here, right here, alongside the inventory file. I left this here from a Q&A where we talked something basic about memory. So if there's actually nothing in this memories file here. So we will be talking about memory sometime in the near future. So just ignore this for now. If you've been following the series, you should not have this file here. With that, that's all we need to do in that folder for now. So we're going to do now, let's go ahead and open our CodeLight application. And here's our CodeLight application. I'm going to go ahead and open up our english.lang file here. So if you don't have this file, I'll show you where I have it here, in case maybe you didn't follow along completely with my tutorial. So in our config folder here, we have a lang folder with an english.lang file. I believe this should be in here by default when you get the sample custom story, especially if you followed the first episode. If not, go ahead and make a file called English, and make sure the file extension is .lang. And this should be it here. I will paste the entirety of my lang file and the entirety of my readable file in the Pastebin in the description below. So if you don't have it and you just want to copy, or you just want to reference, go ahead and just get that from the link below. But this is what we have here. This is what we had going off the last episode after talking about inventories and hints in a episode way before that. In here we're gonna be making an entry inside of this category here. I think we should probably talk about the readable first before we do this here. It'd make more sense. So we're going to be doing some stuff in here. Just have it open, ready to go. So let's go ahead and open up our readables.cfg file. So what I'm going to do, if you're using CodeLight to read in that file, you'll notice if we look under the config folder, there is no readables.cfg, even though we just copied it. We're going to need to scan our folders again. So we do that by doing right click on your custom story folder and then doing import files from directory, and we're going to go ahead and select that config selection here. And if you have .cfg as one of your options here, we should be able to read it perfectly fine. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK there. So now if we re-expand it and we go under config, now you'll see the readables, and we can go ahead and double click it to open it, and here we are. We have it in our editor here. So again, these are all the letters from all the letters and photos and stuff from the actual game. We won't be using any of their letters or anything like that. So we're gonna go ahead and pretty much clear all of these and just leave, and we're gonna put our own category in here. So what I'm gonna do, let's leave this category right here. We'll leave it and we'll clear it out and fill it in with our own info. Everything below it we're gonna go ahead and clear, except for the last couple of lines. So just make sure if you're clearing this yourself, you make sure you follow along properly here. So we're gonna go all the way down and we're going to leave the readables and the categories right here, and we're going to cut it off right on this category here. So let's go ahead and hit backspace here and clear that. So now all we should have is a identifier to identify the XML version that we're using for this file. Then we're going to have these two values here. They actually go together. You can see they highlight together. So this opens a readable category and this closes a readable category. And then we open up a set of categories, and that's from here to here. And then in here within these categories is where we're going to add all our maps that have notes in them. So and that'll make sense more in a moment. So first thing we're going to do, let's clear all of this and let's leave one line here. Let's see. Okay, so it's just, let's just clear all of this here, and just leave the one line here. And we're going to fill this in a moment, so don't worry about that. And then now we're going to start filling in this part right here, so the category ID. So this is going to be, we're going to follow a convention of the same name as our level here. So our level is called, our map that we have this note in is called starting room. And we'll see that right here, starting room. And there's our script file. So we're going to name it the exact same thing, starting room. And then for the name here, same thing, we're going to put starting room. So we'll clear this out here and we'll put starting room. And then now that's all done there. And now we're going to go ahead and fill in the ID. So this is the actual note entry here. So when we say notes here, we're saying all these IDs in here are notes inside of this level here. So you're gonna have to, if you have notes in multiple levels, you're gonna pretty much make another category here. And let me touch upon that in a second. Let's just finish filling this out here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put in the ID that we have from our level editor. So if you recall, and I open up our level editor here, we called it note room 1. So we're gonna go ahead and copy that, and we're gonna go ahead and paste that right here for the ID. And then for front entry here, we're going to go ahead and give it the same exact name. So we're going to say note room 1, and we're going to hit save here. And that's pretty much it. So this pretty much identifies the ID, and this identifies what the entry is going to be in our lang file. And we're pretty much set to start filling in our lang file now. But let's say you had multiple notes and you wanted to add it for a different level. Let's say you had more notes in a different level. Or let's talk about both. So let's say you wanted to add another note to this level. Just copy this, paste it. Now let's say you have room 2. Now this is room 2, and this is room 2, and then you move on. If you had another map entirely, you copy this whole section here, and then we paste it right here, and starting room 2, or whatever else your other room is called, like torture chamber or whatever. Rename these appropriately, and then you could put a whole nother set of notes in there. So that's pretty much how you would add more. We're gonna go ahead and just backspace this up here, and just leave this. We just want the one note here. So now we're pretty much done with our readables.cfg file. These are entries that you can pass in to give additional things. Like if you wanted to put an image to put alongside the text from your sketchbook, it actually defines it right here. You can go ahead and select an image, and here it tells you all the options you can put in. So like voice subject, if you have an audio voice file that you want to play over the note, this is where you would put it. You would paste it in here. And then you could just read all of these, see what they do. If you wanted to add to sketchbook, you could put that as well here. So you could copy this, paste it right here, and do add to sketchbook, and then set it equals to true. We might talk about that more going forward, but for now we just want a very basic entry where we can read our note. With that, now let's go ahead and go to our english.lang file now that we have our readables file all done. So here's our english.lang file. And what we want here is I did mention we needed a category in I believe in the custom item titles and descriptions. We mentioned we needed this category here that matches your map name. So I call mine here called starting room. This doesn't quite match with the same exact way we have starting room here. So we're gonna make it copy it exactly. So we're gonna say starting room with the underscore and everything. So it matches perfectly with our room here. And now in here is where we can put our info for our notes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and add a new entry. So we're gonna say open. We're gonna have the open bracket here, and we're gonna say entry name equals, and then we're gonna in here put the name of our note ID that we specified in the readables thing, which is note room 1. And then we're gonna go ahead and close the entry here, and this is where we're gonna write our text that we're gonna have. So I'm just gonna write text here for now. Let's just finish writing this out, and then we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing with an open and close bracket here, and we're gonna do slash entry. And again, all this will be in the Pastebin in the description. So if you want to just copy it from there, feel free to copy that. And then we're gonna have another entry here now. So it's pretty much gonna be the same thing. We'll do open and close here. We're gonna call it entry name, and then we're gonna do equals, and then we're gonna go ahead and put in pretty much the same name we put above here, note room 1, but at the end of it we're gonna do underscore name, exactly that way. Underscore name with a capital N and everything. And then now here is going to be our description. We'll fill that in a second though. And now we're going to go ahead and do another open and close here. And then we're going to go ahead and type in pretty much the same thing as above, slash entry. And that's pretty much it right there. So we're pretty much saying, okay, we're opening a new entry. This one's called note room 1. This is the text that's going to be for this entry, and then we're going to close our entry, and then we do the same thing here. This one is called note room 1 name, description, and all that. So I actually have this inverse. Description is up here, the name is the title of the note, so I have this reversed. Now we can go ahead and fill this in. So this is going to be the body of the text, and this is going to be like the title of the letter. So in our custom story, we don't really know who this letter is going to be from. It's from some unknown person. So we'll just write that. We'll say unknown person. And now we need description. So I'm going to have to just think of something off the top of my head. So the guy, and at least in our custom story, the guy did something and he ended up getting, taken into the cellar. Let's just say, let's give the player some info. So again, this is completely on the fly. I don't really know. I don't really have an idea for what I want him to say. We'll say, to whoever finds this, and then we'll say, let's see, what can we say? We'll say, I am tired of being trapped in this room. We'll say the door isn't locked, but he's always on guard. But he's always on the lookout. The lookout. If you leave, he will find you. If you leave, he will find you. If he leaves, yeah. If you leave, he will find you. And then it will say, at this point, I'm willing to take my chances. I'm going to run for it. All right, so this is just off the top of my head, so I don't really know what's going on. But what I thought I'd say is, he's here sharing a room with you. He's giving the player info and saying that the door isn't locked, and that if he leaves, whatever it is gonna find you, and he's gonna make a run for it. He's gonna make a run for it right now, and I guess we gotta figure out how he ended up trapped in that room, all dead pretty much. That's at least the story I'm going for here in this like tutorial custom story we're doing. With that, let's go ahead and launch up our game now. We should be all set to launch up our game and check out our note. So let's go ahead and do that and see our note in the game. All right, here we are in our custom story. So let's go ahead and go around this corner here, and we should see our note on the table here. And again, there's no text written on the front of it. And if we click it, you'll notice there's no text written on it. So if we left click, we can toggle the text. So we click left click. There we go. We get the whole message to whomever finds this. I am tired of being trapped in this room. The door isn't locked, but he's always on the lookout. If you leave, he will find you. At this point, I'm willing to take my chances. I'm going to run for it. So again, just very, very random thing I wrote. I should probably fix some of those grammatical mistakes to make it flow a little better, but just something random that came to my head. And again, you notice that there's no like actual text written on it. If you use one of the other notes, it'll have text written on the front of it. But in our case, this note doesn't have any text. So with that, we're pretty much done. In the next episode, I think I'm going to show you how to get like text written on the front of this. I feel it looks kind of lame to just have it like this with nothing on the front of it, even though it works when you left click. If you never did custom stories for the original Amnesia, in the original Amnesia, when you left click, it would, like, when you click on a note, you get the note to come up as like the text would overlay on the note, and it looks more natural than this. This you have to kind of left click to see it. And let's say somebody hasn't played very much, Amnesia Rebirth, they just decided to do custom stories, and they try to take your note, they'll be confused as to why they have a plain piece of paper. But if they left click, they'll see the text and everything. But yeah, more for aesthetics. We're gonna go ahead and work on that for the next episode, I think. If there's anything I feel we need to cover before that, we'll do it. But I think we should be all set for doing that. So next episode will probably be part 2 to this, and actually adding a visual text on it that we can read. So with that, guys, I'm going to wrap up the episode here. I hope you guys just enjoyed the episode. I'm sure a lot of you are waiting for this episode with notes. I hope you guys are excited to finally implement it in your custom stories. With that, I'll leave you guys. Make sure you leave a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And go ahead and leave a comments letting me know what you want to see. I've been struggling to think about what episodes I want to cover next. And I'm sure what order to do them in. I know I want to do like outdoor environment soon. Maybe some narration soon. I know a lot of people have been asking for puzzles too. I don't know what puzzles you guys want to see. Because really puzzles can come down to whatever you guys want. Puzzles you can come up. You have to pretty much come up with what kind of puzzle you want and implement it. So it's kind of hard to just cover puzzles in general. So I'm gonna have to find some good examples for puzzles. Maybe we'll copy something that they did in the actual game itself. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks a lot. Bye.